This is the Diamond Hogs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Welcome to the Diamond Hogs Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Choate, joined by my co-host, Robert Stewart. Baseball is back.
Baseball's
back. Arkansas won a series, even though it didn't look great at first. They lost on Friday, but they came back.
First home opener loss in Fayetteville since 1981.
Since 1981, and then first season opening loss since 1994, I believe.
That sounds right.
So for you Razorback basketball fans out there, that might be a good omen. Either way, Arkansas gets the series win. They beat Illinois State on Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to recap all of that on today's episode, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Talk pitching, talk hitting. We're just going to break it down. I mean, Robert, we got our stat guy over here. Robert is probably the best stat guy that is in that press box.
I would say I'm better than the official scorer. But
yeah. So
we'll get into that, too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But before we do, we just want to let you know that you can find the Diamond Hogs Podcast on the Hit That Line Podcast Network. That includes things like the Morning Rush Podcast, Trusting the Process with Ty Richardson, Halftime Podcast. A lot of great stuff over at hitthatline.com. And if you want, you can go check out Robert's game recaps on hitthatline.com. He wrote game recaps for each game, so go check that out. Check out their Twitter as well. That's where you get some live tweets from Robert himself. We're also available on HawgBeat.com. That is the best coverage of Arkansas athletics. They have Andrew Hutchinson, Alex Trader, myself, Kevin Bohan, and sometimes Robert Stewart, and more. I mean, the HawgBeat crew is the best in coverage of Arkansas athletics and by far the best in coverage of Arkansas baseball. You will not find more Arkansas baseball coverage or better Arkansas baseball coverage than at HawgBeat.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, then that's where you're watching is the HawgBeat YouTube. So hit the subscribe button while you're there. Give us a thumbs up as well. And then student media stuff, I mean, we got to figure that out. But I'm sure most of you are getting our podcast from either Hit That Line, any streaming service, or HawgBeat.com. So thank you all for listening out there.
And a reminder that we are not affiliated with the University of Arkansas.
Not at all. Not affiliated with the University of Arkansas. Who we are affiliated with is Southern Lawn Service, Robert. We are brought to you by Southern Lawn Service. They serve the greater Central Arkansas area, specializing in landscape maintenance for apartment complex communities and industrial sites. They do landscape projects for residential and commercial sites of all sizes. Southern Lawn Service does everything, including drainage solutions, new installs, landscape remodel, landscape design, hardscapes like retaining walls and paver patios. If you need bulk supplies like mulch, dirt, gravel, landscape rock, or sod, call Southern Lawn Service at 501-514-3463, and they will hook you up. They sell all of that over at their spot on One Lee Road in Conway, Arkansas. So if you're trying to redo your yard, give them a call. That's 501-514-3463.
We're also brought to you by Southern Tees, your premier screen printing provider for Central Arkansas and the surrounding area. However, they're not only experts in the world of t-shirts. They also provide embroidery, promotional products, and team apparel. If you need to raise money, Southern Tees has you covered. They've got unique options for online web stores for fundraising. Now, they've helped their customers raise tens of thousands of dollars for their organizations, so you could be next. Give them a call at 501-932-0158 or check them out online at southerntees.com. That's southernts.com. Southern Hospitality, Southern Charm, Southern Tees.
All right, Robert, let's start with Friday. What the heck, dude?
Yeah, that's a great question. Friday was a stinker. I mean, they picked up right where they left off last year.
Yep. I mean, it all came down to the fact that you got what you needed from Connor Nolan on the mound. A couple other guys came in. We'll get into that. But Arkansas, they only put up 2 runs. This is the lineup that you talked about and we talked about. Everybody's talked about. Davian Horn talked about. They're going to hit a lot of home runs. They're going to score a lot of runs. Well, they only scored 2 runs on Friday, and they lost 3-2 to Illinois State. And the college baseball world was laughing after that Dave Van Horn quote went viral, and then Arkansas goes and loses their season opener to Illinois State.
4 hits. That's the answer. 4 hits is not going to cut it. And, you know, it's nice that they came from the bottom of the order, but you know what that means is that the top 5 hitters went 0 for 17 combined.
Exactly. What your 1 through 5 hitters 0 for 7 or 0 for 17. You can't do that. You cannot have that from your 1 through 5 hitters, and of course you saw a shakeup in the lineup on Saturday, but that can happen. Let's see, 2 leadoff guys reaching. You can't have that.
One of them was a home run, so it didn't really count. The pressure wasn't really on.
Your 2 runs in that game came off of home runs.
Right.
One from Jalen Battles, one from Zach Gregory. And aside from that, like, you didn't really have anything else. But we mentioned it, Connor Nolan, he did what he had to do. And then some other guys came in, but you can have great pitching, but if you're not scoring runs, then it doesn't matter.
Right. I mean, he had the shaky start, gave up a couple of hits, hit a batter, walked a batter in the first. But after that, 2 runs, that should be enough to win you a ball game.
Exactly. I mean, you could look at it and you could say, well, Nolan gave up 2 runs in the first inning. That's not a way to start it. But I wrote a piece over at HawgBeat.com and basically looked back at the opening day starters for I think I went 3 years back. So last year was Vermillion. Year before that, it was actually Nolan. And then year before that, it was Isaiah Campbell. And aside from Nolan's opening day start in 2020, he went like 6 2/3, had 11 strikeouts, a walk, and didn't give up any runs.
Is he playing Eastern Illinois in that game?
Eastern Illinois. Vermillion and Campbell. Why can't I think of Campbell? Vermillion and Campbell, their stat lines for opening day were not that much different than Connor Nolan's stat line. I mean, 5 innings pitched, gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 2, struck out 5.
And you know what? The important thing for me about Connor Nolan in this outing is that he rebounded. He had the struggle in the first inning, but he had 4 innings where he didn't give up a run. He dealt with a hit, another hit, a walk, and another hit, but no more than 1 base runner each inning after that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this story. I actually just got it because I wanted to give you the stats from Vermillion and Campbell just to calm some people down, I guess. I mean, not a lot of people were freaking out, but I saw some people who were going after Nolan. I saw that some people were going after his mom, too, and she had to make her account on Twitter private.
That's really weird, considering that he wasn't the problem.
No, he wasn't at all. But okay, so Vermillion last year, 4 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits, 2 walks, and struck out 4. So not much different at all from Nolan. Right. And then, so I mentioned Nolan in 2020. I mean, that's one of his best games of his career.
Sure.
And then Isaiah Campbell in 2019, also against Eastern Illinois, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts in 5 innings. So almost the same exact stat line, except for Nolan gave up less earned runs.
Right.
And we're talking about Isaiah Campbell, a guy that is beloved by Arkansas fans because he was really good. And
is currently a professional baseball player.
Exactly. So just had to preface all that, say Connor Nolan, I mean, good job, Connor Nolan. The bats did not back him up. Another thing, let me bring that back up. Dang it, I X'd out of it because the biggest point was that in those other games, they were backed up by runs. So Vermillion last year...
I was about to say, there were about 13 runs in that game against Texas Tech, right?
Vermillion last year, 13 runs. So he can give up a couple runs, but Arkansas scores 13, you're going to win the game.
Right.
Nolan's opening day start, so Arkansas scored 5 runs. So if they would have scored 5 runs against Eastern Illinois, they would, or not Eastern Illinois, Illinois State, they would have won. And then you go back to Isaiah Campbell's opening day start, they won 15-7. So at the end, don't say at the end of the day. So Arkansas just did not score enough runs, and we mentioned it 1 through 5. That cannot happen, Robert.
No, it's not going to fly. But let's see what happened on Saturday. They turned it around and turned 8 hits into 5 runs. So a much better showing as far as the top 5 goes. The highlight Saturday was Robert Moore. He went 2 for 4 with 3 RBI. Had a solo shot to get him on the board. That was the first lead of the season. It was the 3rd run of the season. It was the 3rd solo home run of the season. So Saturday it was a lot better. 1 through 5, particularly Robert Moore. They moved him down to the 5 hole. He hit 2 for 4, 2 extra base hits, solo shot, 2-run double in the 5th. They were able to manufacture runs more easily. They didn't have to rely on the long ball. Solo home runs, 2-run shots, they don't do a whole lot for me because they don't keep the pressure on the opposing pitcher. And they were able to do that in particularly the 3rd and the 5th innings Saturday. And Michael Turner, he moved down to the 8 hole. He was in the top 5 on Friday, but he sliced a double down to the left side. That padded the lead, gave him an insurance run in the 8th. So the hitting was much better, much better on Saturday. But Dave Van Horn mentioned they still didn't get any of those big 2-out hits that they really thrived on last year. If you're looking at runners in scoring position, 2 outs. Friday they were 0 for 2, so they didn't really have that many chances. And then Saturday they were 0 for 5. So they were still looking for that 2-out hit, but they didn't really need it on Saturday because of Hagen Smith.
Yeah, Hagen Smith, the freshman, looked the part of an ace.
He really did.
I mean, 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, struck out 5, no runs, no earned runs, and a walk. So that's exactly what you needed from a guy like Hagen Smith. So there's a starter right there that you're saying we're confident in this guy, at least based off of what we saw in the first weekend. Arkansas should be confident in all 3 of their starters. The guy that you were most worried about was Jackson Wiggins, and we'll get to him later. But Sunday he did great. But Hagen Smith, he lived up to the hype.
He did. And you know what stood out to me the most? And I asked Dave Van Horn about this in the press conference, but he faced 22 batters. 19 of those guys he started the count with strikes with. Now, as I recall, there were a lot of one-pitch outs, which are also great. They go down as first-pitch strikes. But, I mean, he was throwing the ball over the plate a lot. He was getting a lot of chases. I think he was sitting low to mid-90s, if I recall correctly. I'd have to double-check that. But the freshman really, really impressed. I mean, I think we heard Van Horn say last month that he's 18, but he throws like he's 22. Yep. That was very true on Saturday.
Yeah, and then, I mean, the people behind him, Mark Adamiak, he goes 1 1/3, gave up 3 hits, but struck out 2. I believe he got into a jam there and got himself out of it. Yeah,
he got into a couple jams. Let's see. In the 7th inning, he gave up a single and a double, so he had 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out, struck out the next 2 hitters, so that was huge. Got into the same sort of situation in the 8th with a walk and a double, so he had runners on the corners with 1 out. Van Horn yanked him, but then the guys behind him, they picked him up. Evan Taylor brought him in for 1 batter. Jake McCaw, the lefty who hit 367 last year, struck him out looking. That was really, really big, and that was all Van Horn asked of him. And then Heston Toll came on for a 4-out save. He struck out Adrian Flores behind McCaw. No runs in those scary 7th and 8th innings yesterday, but yeah, I mean, you don't love to see Adamiak working himself into jams, but that he got out of one himself and other guys were able to get him out of a second is pretty encouraging for a staff that, you know, we've been questioning so far.
Yeah. So I'm looking back at it because I got to remember I was actually at the basketball game here in the 9th. So Heston Toll comes on, gives up a run in the 9th.
Yeah, it was a walk, defensive indifference, and then he faced a pinch hitter who scored him from second base. But at that point, it was a 5-run game that made it a 4-run game. Not too worried about it.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. You just lose the shutout. But, I mean, a win is a win.
Right, and it was badly needed after Friday.
Exactly. It was a much-needed win because if Arkansas loses the series in the second game against Illinois State, that would not have been very great for their confidence moving forward. And then you're looking and they could quite possibly get swept. And so, I mean, another team around the country who's a highly anticipated team, Eastern Carolina, let's see, they got swept by Liberty this weekend. So
was it Liberty?
I think it was, yeah.
I thought you said it was somebody else. But
no.
Let me check on that.
Yeah, you check on that. But either way, if Illinois State wins Game 2, you have no clue what happens in Game 3. But we'll just go ahead and move on to Game 3. Is
Bryant. They got swept by Bryant.
Who did Liberty beat? Liberty beat somebody. Bryant's always weird for me because I'm from Conway.
I got you.
So to hear Bryant as a school.
They beat Florida today.
Oh,
Liberty beat
Florida. Didn't they win the series? Liberty? This is bad radio.
That's okay. Let's see.
I don't want to move on to Game 3 without you.
Caden Wallace. I want to talk about Caden Wallace before we move on.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, Liberty did beat Florida in that series. Okay.
Wow.
So Caden Wallace in Game 2 Saturday, he got the first hit for Arkansas with runners in scoring position. That was big. They were 0 for 5 Friday. They went 3 for 13 Saturday. So still not outstanding, but you know, at least they got into that hit column there. And then he also had a double to center field. I think he just missed a home run.
There were a few hits for Wallace this weekend where
it was windy.
The wind was a factor, especially on Sunday. Yeah, Wallace had a few hits that just got pushed down that would have been home runs. And that's not just from us. That's from Dave Van Horn saying there were a few, not just from Wallace, from other guys, but specifically from Wallace, that would have been gone if it wasn't for the weather conditions. It was just windy this weekend.
Right. And Wallace just missed that one, but it started a fifth inning rally that produced 2 runs. That was when Robert Moore had that 2-run double. But again, the bats weren't completely on Saturday. You could tell it was off through 2 games. Both Peyton Stovall and Jace Borofin were over, and I think Van Horn called them both out in the press conference. He said, they're both not hitting like we know they can hit, and we saw a lineup change on Sunday.
Yeah, Stovall was one that you're okay to wait on because you look back at Robert Moore, the start of his career, and it was forever until he got hit.
He's so patient. He really does need to be there.
Yeah, so Stovall's a guy that you didn't want to wait on. Borofin.
Outfield's a different story because there's so many guys that could slot in and produce immediately.
And speaking of outfield guys, I mean, Braden Webb, you're looking at him. He gets the nod over Zach Gregory on Saturday.
Gregory, who homered on Friday.
Exactly. And but then Webb goes and strikes out twice on Saturday, goes 0 for 3 strikeout. He did get walked.
Scored on a walk, but
Braden Webb, I mean, we heard that his defense was better. He might be one of the best defensive center fielders that Dave Van Horn has had, but if you can't get it done at the plate, then you can't do anything. I mean,
the toughest hitter that Patrick Wicklander has ever faced will gladly step in.
Exactly, Zach Gregory. So that's going to be to be determined there, and we'll go ahead and transition into Sunday because it did not get better for Braden Webb on Sunday. Trying to pull it up here. Okay, so Webb goes 0 for 3 Sunday with 2 more strikeouts
and a double play. It was
hit into a double play.
It was a tough look for him. I think it's just based on this weekend. There's a lot of season left. The experimentation will continue, but it looks like the battle to get playing time at this time is between Borofin and Webb. I think Gregory's been solid enough that he's going to stay in the lineup. Lanzilli has too. I think you could even see him play left field like he did Sunday more often going forward. Brady Slavens looked probably the weakest in the outfield, so they moved him to designated hitter for Game 3, and that worked out pretty well for him. He got on base all 4 times, including 3 hits, including a 2-out RBI hit.
Yeah. I mean, before we get to Sunday, I guess we'll go ahead and mention the fact that Slavens on Saturday, there were a couple plays where he just did not look great in right field.
He didn't.
There was one, he just misplayed the ball. I don't know if he stepped back first, but either way, he couldn't get to the ball in time where it looked like a routine flyout, and dives for it, misses it, and then there was another play where he was throwing it in from right field to home, and I mean, it was probably all of 10, 15 feet off the plate that Michael Turner had to go get it.
Right, and I mean, looking at it, this is the first time since he's been at Arkansas that he's played the outfield. Is that correct? He played a lot of first base last year.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but that was Goodhart who DH'd last year and would play
right. That's right.
So, I guess first time in an Arkansas uniform that Slavens had played right field Friday and Saturday. But then, as you said, moved to DH on Sunday, and it worked well for him.
It did. Like I said, 3 hits. One of them was an infield hit that kept a rally alive in the 4th inning. Yes, that was when Zach Gregory got that big hit that Dave Van Horn had talked about. They hadn't had that big 2-out hit yet. Zach Gregory was down, I think, 1-2 in the count. I know there were 2 strikes. There were 2 outs. Singled up the middle, scored Robert Moore. That was after Slavens had moved Moore into scoring position. And then the 2-out hits kept coming. They got 2 more in the 5th, one from Chris Lanzilli. I think that was a 2-strike count as well, and then Brady Slavens got one. So they were 3 for 8 on the day with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. That's a 375 average. So that's a lot better than you were seeing the first couple of games. And then regardless of how many outs, runners in scoring positions, they were 5 for 16 on the day. So almost 1 for 3. If
you go back to that Lanzilli play, the 0-2 hit, prior to that they had intentionally walked Robert Moore.
Right.
And so then everybody's like, oh, that's disrespectful to Lanzilli. And he goes down 0-2, and you're like, well, maybe not. But then he shows up, brings in a run, and Lanzilli, that was his only hit, but we know the dude can hit the ball, and if he can play some consistent outfield, then you can afford to have Brady Slavens at DH.
Right, and he had 3 hits on the weekend, so it's not like he was awful.
No.
I think that, let's see, I've got 3 guys down as having 4 hits. That'd be Robert Moore, Brady Slavens, and Jalen Battles. Let's see, Slavens was 4 for 10, and then Moore and Battles were 4 for 11. Moore had a lot of extra base hits, didn't he? He had a couple of doubles, a homer, and then
doubles.
He had that single that he tried to stretch into a double on Sunday.
Yeah, so that probably should have been a double if he doesn't get out, of course. It would have been a double.
He popped off the base.
So he's one tiny little hop off of second base from having 3 doubles and a home run on the weekend, which I had a tweet ready, but then they reviewed it, and it would have been a beautiful tweet. But unfortunately, he was called out. But still, great weekend for Robert Moore. Going back to Sunday, though, let's finish out Sunday. So we already mentioned Webb had a rough day. I want to mention Dylan Leach. It was a rough day for Dylan Leach, not just at the plate, but behind the plate. So he goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts at the plate, but then behind the plate there were some drop balls. One of them was ruled a wild pitch, I believe.
Yeah, we had some deliberation in the press box about what was a wild pitch and what was a pass ball. So it sounded like at one time the official scorer wanted to give him a pass ball. I sort of agreed with him there. It looked like it was pretty catchable, but he's definitely not the defensive rock that Casey Opitz was last year.
No.
And I don't think anybody was really expecting him to be, but you said to me during the game, he's going to have to hit, a lot better than he is if he's going to stay in this lineup, because he doesn't look just outstanding defensively.
No, he didn't look great defensively, and so the reason I said that is, Michael Turner did good enough defensively, and he put some hits.
Right.
Put some hits down, got a double on Saturday.
RBI double.
RBI.
Insurance run.
So if Leach wasn't able to hit, then it's like, well, you got to go with Turner, I guess. And unfortunately for Leach, that's what happened, is he struck out twice, and he just didn't have it behind the plate enough, and Michael Turner replaced him on Sunday.
Right. Maybe it's some jitters. I think he'll come to form later in the season, but something else that we need to hit on before we move on is the pitching on Sunday.
Exactly, yeah.
The Razorbacks used 2 pitchers.
I know.
Does that sound familiar?
I was about to say, it reminds you of a line from Patrick Wicklander and Kevin Kopps last year.
It really does.
Now, we're not saying that they are Patrick Wicklander and Kevin Kopps, but I'll tell you what, one of those dudes looked a lot like one of those dudes.
I
know
what you're saying.
No, I'm not going to sit here and say Cole Ramage is Kevin Kopps. What I'm saying is he put on a 4-inning save, and his off-speed looked like something that we haven't seen from Cole Ramage, and there were batters who were swinging at pitches that they turned around and said, why the heck did I do that?
Perhaps Kevin Kopps, his last contribution to Fayetteville was teaching Cole Ramage that cutter slider thing that he used so well last year. But, Ramage looked good.
Ramage looked really good. So
he had one run in 4 innings. He got credit for a 12-out save.
Do you want to do Ramage first or Wiggins?
We're already talking about Ramage.
Okay,
let's keep going.
So Ramage, 4 innings, gave up 2 hits. One of those was a home run, so that's where he gets the earned run. But 6 strikeouts, and faced 15 batters through 61 pitches. And they thought about not bringing him back out in the 9th, but apparently he told Dave Van Horn, hey, I feel good. My stuff is working. I'm ready to go.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, and apparently Michael Turner said, yeah, he's got his stuff going. Let him go. And there was a moment there in the 9th, that's where he gave up the home run in the 9th, right?
It was in the 8th.
In the 8th.
He let off the 8th. Ryan Cermak, the center fielder, probably the best player for Illinois State.
Did he give?
But that was the only home run.
He gave up a leadoff hit in the 9th then, because he gave up something in the 9th.
Yeah, that's right. There was a pinch hit in the 9th with 1 out.
Okay.
But he didn't go anywhere past first base.
No, yeah. He gave up the hit, and then you're looking in the bullpen, and they're warming up some guys. I believe we saw Elijah Tress down there. And, for us stat guys, we're like, please just finish it off. It'll be a lot better if he gets the save. And sure enough, he got the save. Cole Ramage looked really good for Arkansas, and so did Jackson Wiggins.
Yeah, one more thing on Ramage real quick. The first 3 guys he struck out. He struck out the side in the 6th inning, and then 4 of the first 5 batters he faced, he struck out as well. So, like you said, there were a lot of silly-looking swings and misses. And, I mean, he had more strikeouts in 4 innings than Jackson Wiggins did in 5.
Yeah, so Jackson Wiggins goes 5 innings. He did get the win, gave up 5 hits.
That's his first win as a starter, right? Because we said that he's never been past 3 2/3 innings as a starter.
It's his first win as a starter, not his first win.
Right.
Okay. So let's see, where was I at? 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Did have the wild pitch, did have a balk. Through 77 pitches, though. There were a couple times where you were curious, is Jackson Wiggins going to come back out? He went back out in the 5th and pitched the full 5th. That was where we were questioning, is he gonna make it through 5? Because to begin it, we were talking in the press box, like, how long does Wiggins go? Some of us said like 2 1/3. There was 3 1/3. His career high prior to this game as a starter was last year against Tennessee in the SEC tournament. He went 3 2/3.
Right, and we kept wondering, is he going to make it out of that 4th inning? Let's see. After 3, it was 1-0 Illinois State. He gave up a double and a walk to lead off the 4th, so he was in some trouble early on there. And then he got the shortstop Greg Nichols to bunt. He popped it up to the catcher on 1 pitch. He got a short pop-up to right field on 1 pitch, so 2 pitches later, he was right in the same place, except he had 2 outs. And then a 3-pitch see to leadoff hitter Kyle Soberano. So that was really, really good, a good job of minimizing the damage for Jackson Wiggins there. And then he came out in the 5th and worked a 1-2-3 inning.
I mean, he did. The thing is about Wiggins putting on that performance is that was the question mark.
Right.
As far as starters go.
For the rotation, yes.
As far as starters go, Wiggins was your question because, like, you felt confident about Nolan, you felt confident about Smith. Can Wiggins do it as a starter? And a lot of people were skeptical, including ourselves. I mean, reasonably skeptical. And Wiggins comes out and he throws 5 innings, gives up just 1 run, and sets Arkansas up in great position for Cole Ramage to come in. And who would have expected Ramage to do what he did? I didn't. Nobody did. I mean, we were on the HawgBeat message board, and people were like, "Oh, Ramage, here we go."
And don't forget, he got 5 outs on Friday, so he pitched, 2 pretty lengthy outings, 2 days apart.
2 lengthy outings, 2 days apart for a reliever for Arkansas.
6-year senior right-handed pitcher.
6-year senior right-handed pitcher. It's so difficult to just not. It's hard to not think about it, Robert. So I'll go back to Friday night. So Ramage. 1 2/3, gave up 2 hits, gave up an earned run, walked 1, no strikeouts. But like you said, I mean, he faced 8 batters.
I think he got 5 outs in a row on 10 pitches to start his outing. He sort of hit the wall, gave up a couple of hits, including the eventual go-ahead double, RBI double. But I mean, if you can get the feel right for how long Cole Ramage needs to go, he's going to be a pretty valuable piece to this bullpen this year.
So Ramage came in the 6th on Friday, popped up Flores, Sabatnik ground out,
four straight ground outs at the bottom of the order,
and then let's go up to the 7th. Another ground out. Oh, you just mentioned that already. Another ground out, and then a single, and then a double. So it was an RBI double. Then a walk, and then Morris came in.
Right.
So he did hit a wall, and then a lot of people were saying, well, this is Ryan Costu 2.0. But then he comes out on Sunday and he's like, just kidding, I'm not Ryan.
I'm actually kidding.
Don't say it.
I won't. I swore I wouldn't.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Have I said it? I haven't.
You haven't.
Okay. Neither one of us has said it. It's opening weekend. But it's hard to not.
There's always this period of overreactions, and I will not submit to this one.
It was just the off-speed pitch he had that was dropping in the dirt and people were swinging. Just the way it was look. I mean, we were in the press box, so we didn't get the angle that you would watch on TV.
And we didn't have the gun either. That was disappointing.
It was like we had to ask the SID every other pitch, like, what's the velo on that? What's the velo?
And that I was going to say that about Jackson Wiggins too. We talked about how he's got a slider and a curveball to go with his fastball and changeup this year. I think the fastball velo was routinely around 93, 94, 95. got up to 97 at one point, but we couldn't really tell. It's hard for me, particularly, to tell what kind of pitches are being thrown if I don't have a speed to go along with it. So I couldn't really tell how well he was mixing the off speed in, but clearly he was doing it pretty effectively.
Exactly. Okay, anything else on Sunday? Stovall got his first career hit.
Yeah, a couple of them.
2 hits, scored a run. His first hit was a double, right? That was the first.
Opposite field double.
Opposite field double.
With 2 outs.
Good for Stovall. Got his first career hit. Happy for him. Robert Moore, once again, I mean, he goes 2 for 4, 2 doubles.
Very close to 2 doubles.
Well, they have it listed as 2 doubles on the stat sheet.
They.
We know it's not 2 doubles.
He must not have changed that.
That's okay. Battles again. Battles. We heard that
Battles quietly had a nice weekend.
We heard that Battles was going to have a better bat this year. There were some plays at shortstop where his throw was a little off. That was another thing about Stovall was his defensive play at first base. He just looks like a natural at first.
He made some great picks. There was one play in the 5th inning where Battles threw it to him. He had to leap up, grab it, and tag the runner. He did so. Got the out. That was in the 1, 2, 3, 5th for Wiggins. So that was a big defensive play for Stovall, a guy who hasn't really played first base in the past. Yeah.
So defensively, nothing really horrible on the weekend.
There was the throwing error on Leach. Did that end up costing them? I mean, that was the only error of the weekend.
Was that in the second?
It was in the.
This was on Sunday, by the way.
Yes, Sunday. It was the first inning. So there was a 1-out single. Aiden Huggins stole second base. Leach's throw was a little short, and it got into the outfield. Runner got to third, and then Wiggins struck out a couple. So, no, the runner did not score. It was not a costly error.
Good. That was a weird play because it was a short throw, but it was a one-hop that it looked like Battles could have gotten, but he got there late.
That was one of those plays that the official scorer, I couldn't tell what he was saying.
There were so many times with the official scorer where
he said stolen base. I understood that. He was going on the pitch. But he was advanced on the play. Yeah, how did he advance on the play? Because the catcher threw it into center field. Yeah. That's an error on the catcher.
So what was the big one where he said
it was the double. The double that he smoked.
He said it was a single, though.
Right. He was single, and he advanced on the play. It was the line drive shot to Caden Wallace at third base. I don't know how fast it was off the bat, but it was probably close to or over 100 miles an hour. Anyway.
Was this Soberano that hit it? In the second?
No, it was Cermak in the third.
Cermak. Okay, Cermak.
Because I have it scored. I have it scored
second. Okay.
I have it scored as a double to the third baseman because it hit the third baseman. I don't know if that's accurate, but I do know it was a double because he smoked it. It sort of just laid there in the outfield, and who was playing left? Lanzilli got it in as soon as he could. But he was trying to say that it was a single and he advanced on the throw. Now, I get that for some plays. If you've got a double and a runner on first and the throw comes home to get the runner who started on first base.
Yeah.
If the guy who hits the double advances to third base, that's advancing on the throw.
Yeah.
If the throw is going to second base, you can't say single advanced to second on the throw.
Yeah.
That's where the throw was going. It's a double.
He was going to second. The hitter was running to second, trying to stretch it for a double, and they threw it to second.
And you surely cannot credit Caden Wallace with an error.
Did they give him an error?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean that was the only other possibility. Because that first scenario, that's not real. You can't say he advanced on the throw to the base where the ball and the runner were going.
Exactly.
Now, so the only other option, if they were going to score at a single, would be to give Caden Wallace an error.
And nobody's making.
Because he was talking about, should he have knocked it down? Yes. Well, he did, but he let it get away. No, you cannot. I mean, we said this in the press box. If you put Anthony Rendon or Nolan Arenado at third base, they're probably not doing anything differently there. That was a rocket.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
So it's a double.
That's our rant on the scorekeeper. Volunteer, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. So anything else that you want to add just for the game recaps?
What did I write down here? Sorry, it's refreshing.
Saturday, Sunday.
The 2-out hitting. I mean, that's the big thing I want to hit on
That was killer for Arkansas last year.
They were 3 for 8 on Sunday, and that's a good sign moving into Round Rock next week.
I think another big thing was hitting with runners in scoring position.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How many times
5 for 16.
How many times did they go over last year with runners in scoring position? Now, they did leave guys on board. There was a time on Sunday where they left the bases loaded. I believe Gregory struck out.
Left 11 runners on base on Sunday.
Exactly. So
it's not great. I mean, Van Horn's still going to have his complaints, and rightfully so. With a team this talented, you got to push those runs across. But thankfully, you had the pitching from Wiggins and Ramage that they didn't need more than 2 today.
Well, before we move on, I do want to remind you that we are brought to you by Southern Tees. They are your premier screen printing provider for Central Arkansas and the surrounding area. They don't just do T-shirts. If you need embroidery, promotional products, or team apparel, give them a call. If you're trying to raise some money, they also offer options for online web stores. If you're trying to raise some funds, they've helped their customers raise tens of thousands of dollars for their organizations. So give them a call at 501-932-0158 or check them out at Southern Tees. That's the word southernts.com. I'm big fans of them. Waiting to get our T-shirts in for that we can wear to Round Rock maybe.
That'd be cool.
It would be. So
getting excited about that.
But anyways, Southern Hospitality, Southern Charm, Southern Tees. Give Sean Barber a call. It's 501-932-0158.
And don't forget about Southern Lawn Service, who is serving the greater Central Arkansas area. They specialize in landscape maintenance for apartment complex communities and industrial sites. They do landscape projects for residential and commercial of all sizes. Now, Southern Lawn Service does everything, including drainage solutions, new installs, landscape remodel, landscape design, hardscapes such as retaining walls, and paver patios. Now, they also sell bulk landscape supplies to the public, so if you need mulch, dirt of any grade, really, gravel, landscape, rock, or sod, they've got you covered. They're located at 1 Lee Road in Conway, Arkansas. You can visit them there or give them a call at 501-514-3463. That's Southern Lawn Service.
All right. I wanted to pose this question to you, Robert. So we heard going into the weekend that Illinois State they were a veteran team with some younger guys, and their pitching was veteran as well. I'm curious how much of Arkansas's struggles this weekend were due to just Arkansas struggling. Maybe there's some things they got to figure out, or Illinois State is just a good baseball team.
Well, that is an interesting question. I think the competition is going to get much, much tougher for this Razorback squad, so I'm going to put it on them. To start, at least, maybe we get down the road and see that, Illinois State, they are the real deal. They had a solid outing from their starter on Friday, I think, but I just didn't think. Oh wait, no, the starter got hit in the head.
That's right. We didn't even mention that.
That's right. Oh my
God.
About
that.
I cannot believe. I mean, it must have hit something before it hit his head, right?
Jordan Lucier.
Yeah.
I thought it hit. So we heard that there were 2 thuds. Maybe it hit his glove and then hit his head, or maybe his shoulder and hit his head.
It couldn't have hit him directly on the head. It was 103 miles an hour off the bat. There is no way he could have gotten up, walked off the field, and not been concussed.
We might be sounding stupid right now to the people that watch it on TV and saw.
Yeah, we didn't really have replays.
We didn't get to see like the legit replay of this play. So if we're sounding like idiots right now, we apologize. But you're right by saying it is crazy that he got back up, walked off the field, and we were told that he was in great spirits in the dugout, didn't go to the hospital, at least throughout the rest of the game. He probably went after, but the Arkansas doctors checked him out, said he was fine.
And was in good spirits in the dugout. That's beyond me. But
can you imagine the headache?
Oh, no, I cannot. But after him, I mean, he only went 1 1/3, but they had, what does that leave? 7 2/3 inning of relief that they only gave up 2 solo home runs in.
Yeah, 3 hits total.
1 more hit, yeah. So, maybe it was just opening day jitters for the Razorbacks. Maybe they're really good. It's tough to definitively answer that question right now. I don't know. They just didn't. The Redbirds didn't really stand out to me that much. I don't know.
I don't know. I look at it and we talked about it in our preview, and we heard it from their coach Holm. I don't know, is it Scott Holm? Is that his name?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I think his last name's Holm. Either way, we heard from it in his press conference leading up to the series. They went to a lot of big time teams and played at their place over the past few years, and they've taken a game or two. They beat Arkansas
in a midweek a couple, yeah.
So it's not like this is a shocking thing for Illinois State to do that. The best thing for Arkansas is that you won the series. If you lose your opening weekend series to Illinois State as the preseason number 2 team, according to D1 baseball? That's D1 baseball? Okay. That's not good. Arkansas is probably going to drop in the rankings. So what? College baseball rankings is the worst ranking system in the entire country. It's the entire sports, all of sports.
It's irrelevant for at least the first month of the season.
Yeah, no, the fact that we're talking about it is stupid. I'm a rankings guy though, unfortunately.
No, it's worth paying attention to. I'm looking at the Illinois State schedule here. The only other ranked team they've got on their roster is Dallas Baptist. They're both in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Didn't Dallas Baptist lose this weekend?
Not sure.
I'll look into that. Talk about. I want to hear. Do you think that this is a team that will get to the postseason, Illinois State? I mean, if they only play one other ranked team, then.
If they win the conference, if they beat Dallas Baptist, in that series, and then probably again in the tournament, then yes, they will make the postseason. Obviously,
it's one of those things that they. We talked about it. It's like the Musselman effect, the Dave Van Horn effect. They're going to play teams that are probably going to win their conference. Okay, I found it. Dallas Baptist. They went 1-2 this weekend against Southeast Missouri. SEMO.
Former Razorback Trevor Ezel is on that coaching staff.
Really?
I think so. I think he's at least a graduate assistant. Maybe he's the hitting coach.
Wow. Their first 2 games went into extras. Friday night went to 12. Saturday went to 10. They lost
Dropped them both.
Who would have thought we'd be talking about Dallas Baptist on this podcast?
Not me.
Okay, so what else did we have? What were we talking about?
Illinois State, and are they legitimate?
Oh, yeah. I think Illinois State, they were a veteran squad. Sure. How many newcomers does Arkansas have? Not a lot. Well, yeah, they were playing different guys, different positions. They had newcomers. You had 2 pitchers who did not have very much starting experience. Of course, Hagen Smith, his first collegiate start, you win that game. Jackson Wiggins, his 5th collegiate start, I believe, and
something like that.
Win that game as well. But that's not saying that Connor Nolan was the reason they lost on Friday.
Right. I think for this first month of the season, it is definitely too early to draw any big time conclusions. Just because it's a big experimentation phase.
Yeah.
I mean, this to me, this first month is a lot like, say, the NFL preseason. The games, yes, they count toward your record, but ultimately, it doesn't have any impact on where you'll be come, April, May, June, conference tournament time, NCAA tournament time.
Okay. Before we get to some questions from listeners, we'll go ahead and do some more ad reads. Just, let's see. Reminder, Southern Lawn Service is who we are, brought to you by. Anything you need as far as lawn care goes, they got you covered. They have drainage solutions, new installs, paver patios, retaining walls. They actually did a paver patio this weekend that I saw, and it was just like, it's like legit professional work. Like, if you want work that you look at and you're like, oh, that's beautiful, I wish I could have that in my yard, call Southern Lawn Service because they do it, like, professionally. They're really good at it, and they'll do anything you need. Plus, if you just want to do it yourself, they can help you out with that too. Don't go to Lowe's. Don't go to Home Depot. Don't go to those places where you're going to buy bags of mulch, rocks, whatever. Go to them. They'll load you up with some mulch. They'll load you up with some gravel. They got landscape rock. They have dirt. They have sod. Anything you need at 1 Lee Road in Conway, Arkansas. So go see them there or give them a call, 501-514-3463. They do answer the phone. I know that.
Hey, that's always a plus. You know what else is a plus? Southern Tees. They're your premier screen printing provider for Central Arkansas and the surrounding area. But they're not just experts in the world of T-shirts. If you need embroidery, promotional products, or team apparel, Southern Tees has you covered. If you need to raise money, Southern Tees offers unique options for online web stores for fundraising. They've helped their customers raise tens of thousands of dollars for their organizations. So give them a call at 501-932-0158. That's 501-932-0158. 0158 or check out their website. They're at southernteas.com. That's the word Southern, TS.com. Southern hospitality, Southern charm, Southern Teas.
All right, let's get to some questions before we wrap up here. So,
do we have any questions?
Yeah, we do. We have some questions. So, are we going to the games next week? And this is from Cash Hog on HawgBeat.com over at the Trough. That is the subscriber message board. Yes, we will be at the Round Rock Classic. We'll be doing game recaps for each game, quick little recaps. We'll post those. And then what is your assessment of our starting pitchers this weekend?
We were talking about this in the press box, right? How many times did we see 3 weekend starters go 5 innings at least last year? Not very many. I would have to check. I'm working with a new scorebook here, so all my data from last year is in my old one, but not too many because I mean Wicklander was a lock on Fridays, right? You always had that going for you. Saturday, who was it? Was it Peyton Paulette a lot of the time?
I think.
He was iffy, and then Lockhart and Wiggins, they were both iffy on Sundays as well. So not too many. That's a really good sign that 3 of those guys went 5+ innings each game. I'm encouraged by that.
I'm encouraged too. Yeah. They did not lose the game on the mound in any of the games.
Absolutely not.
They, of course, they only lost 1 game, but we mentioned they didn't lose that game on the mound. Connor Nolan did what he had to do. I won't say that he looked the part of an ace, but he looked the part of a starter, a weekend starter. And so that's what you needed. Your bullpen guys did great, but you mentioned Hagen Smith, freshman. I mean, he's only going to get better.
Right.
He's only going to get better.
Like you said, it wasn't lost on the mound. 3 combined earned runs in 16 innings for the 3 starters.
Wow. Okay. That's great. And the thing is, they had their stuff working too. Like Wiggins, everybody talks about his fastball. Yeah, he got hit around on Sunday, but
they were quick too. Like they were. I think he had. There were 2 different times in that game where he had consecutive 1-pitch at bats.
Yeah. Like, he got the job done. He had some off-speed stuff, but most of it was fastballs. The good thing about Wiggins is that last year, he probably wouldn't have worked out of some of those jams. If this was last year, Wiggins probably wouldn't have gotten out of the 3rd inning. And what he did was he went 5 innings, longest in his career, and that's what you needed to see from him is, can Wiggins go past, 3 innings? And he did. So I think as far as starters go, you're in great position because you didn't even see a lot of pitchers this weekend. Dave Van Horn talked about that. Like, they didn't feel comfortable throwing some of the guys that they wanted to see, but you still have guys on the roster that you could start that we didn't even see this weekend. Like, I'm thinking Nick Griffin, Nick Moten, Isaac Bracken. Like, there's plenty of guys.
Will McIntyre.
Heston told it. I mean, Heston told it.
He got a 4-out save, but
he threw, but he's another guy who could start.
You know who else we didn't see is Zebulon Vermillion.
We did see Vermillion Friday night.
That's right. My bad.
Good. Let's see. What did Vermillion do? Oh, yeah.
1 inning, scoreless. Walked a couple guys.
Strikeout, though. Okay, last question here. This is from RazorBrad15, also on HawgBeat.com. I'd like to hear some discussion about the outfield positions, Turner and Leach, and number of innings chewed up by our starters. So we talked about the starters. He also says, any thoughts, insight on pitchers and position players we didn't see. So we kind of hit on the pitchers. So let's just stick with the outfield position battles and then Turner and Leach. So we kind of hit on Turner and Leach. Let's start with that.
Right.
It's got to be Turner.
It's got to be Turner. I think he's gonna want to work Leach into the lineup. The lineup every now and again. Maybe it's once a weekend like we saw today.
Yeah.
And you can hit him in the 9-hole. If he doesn't work out, stick Turner back there. He should be all right. I liked what I saw from Michael Turner this weekend.
Yeah, he goes 2 for 8. Had an RBI on the double, and then he also had a single. He did have 3 strikeouts, but I thought he had a good weekend for opening weekend.
I think so too,
especially behind the plate.
Right.
He did. I mean, he wasn't spectacular behind the plate. He wasn't Casey Opitz behind the plate, but he was. I mean, I'm just gonna say he was better than Leach behind the plate.
Right.
So you got to think that moving forward is gonna be Turner at least on Friday night. So after that, we'll see what Dave Van Horn wants to do. But outfield position battles, I think we kind of hit on it earlier, but you're looking. I mean, Gregory's got to play in the outfield.
Right.
Lanzilli's got to play in the outfield, and then you're probably. I don't know how Webb after this week. At least Friday night is probably going to be Borfin.
Right. I think my ideal lineup for Friday night against Indiana in Round Rock looks like Lanzilli in left field. He looked pretty solid as a fielder today. His bat, he can hit anywhere in the order, and I feel comfortable with him there. So I think he's your left fielder. He's got to be in the lineup. Right field, Zach Gregory. He's been there before. He's another guy whose bat has to be in the lineup. By the way, hitting on my prediction from last episode, he is one behind the team lead for runs scored. Robert Morris got it with 3, but he's at 2 right now, so something to watch. Center field, I think you try Jace Borfin.
I mean, he wants to play it. We know that.
Right. He was 0 for 7, I think, struck out twice. Not really anything going for him. But I think he just needs some at-bats. We didn't get, I don't think we got an injury update on Braden Webb this week, but give him some time. Let him get closer to 100%. Try out Jace Borfin in center because you haven't done that yet. And then at DH, Slavins' bat also has to be in the order. So
yeah,
he doesn't quite look the part as an outfielder yet. So you've got a DH. Let him be it.
All right, real quick, got to knock out these ads. So Southern Lawn Service, you've heard it before. Anything you need as far as any type of landscaping stuff, give them a call. If you need something done to your yard, don't call anybody but Southern Lawn Service if you're in the central Arkansas area. And if you need supplies for your yard, call them as well. They have the supplies you need. They have the equipment you need over at Southern Lawn Service. Call them at 501-514-3463 or see them at 1 Lee Road in Conway, Arkansas.
We're also brought to you by Southern Tees, your premier screen printing provider for Central Arkansas and the surrounding area. However, they're not only experts in the world of T-shirts. They also provide embroidery, promotional products, and team apparel. And if you need to raise money, Southern Tees offers unique options for online web stores for fundraising. They've helped their customers already to this point raise tens of thousands of dollars for their organizations. So give them a call. They're at 501-932-0158. You can also check them out online. They're at southerntees.com, southernts.com. Southern Hospitality, Southern Charm, Southern Tees.
All right, before we wrap up, I do want to mention that Arkansas is going to play in the Round Rock Classic this weekend. Looking ahead to some of the teams that they face and how they fared this weekend. So Louisiana, they actually won the series against number 14 UC Irvine. They lost Friday night, but then they took games 2 and 3 Saturday and Sunday.
Was that in Lafayette or California?
That was in Lafayette.
Okay.
So, and then let's see, Indiana, they were swept at Clemson. They lost Friday night 9-0, Saturday 19-4, and Sunday 5-4 in 10 innings.
And you figure, I think that's the first game, so you figure Connor Nolan would be throwing against those guys, the Hoosiers.
Yeah. Well, they might save Nolan for Stanford on Saturday.
After what I just saw from Hagen Smith,
that's true.
That'll show us what he's really made of.
That's true. Speaking of Stanford, they beat Cal State Fullerton on Friday 1-0. They lost to Cal State Fullerton 11-0 on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, and so as we're recording this, they are in the bottom of the 8th. Stanford is up 9-1. So
it looks like they're going to win that series.
Looks like they will win.
Cal State Fullerton is a perennial contender. I don't know what league they're in, but it seems like I see him in the tournament a lot. And I think, last 3 or 4 years they've been to Omaha or made it to the Supers. So
no, not the last 3 or 4.
They played Washington in a Super Regional recently.
Within like the past 10 or so years, they have been a good team.
I think Washington actually beat them in that Super.
Okay.
Anyway, good team. That's a good series win for Stanford.
Yeah. So Arkansas does get the series win over Illinois State. Next episode out on Friday. Hoping to have a Razorback pitcher on that one, and that is to be determined of who it will be and if it will be anybody. Waiting to see. But either way, We will have an episode out on Friday. We will be in Round Rock on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to keep you guys posted on that. But until then, you're just going to have to wait. You're just going to have to listen to this on repeat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then Friday, you got a new episode.
That's what I'll be doing. I'm itching to go out to Austin on Friday. And if we have any listeners from the Austin, Texas area, send us some things to do. I think we're going to have Saturday afternoon off, so looking to do whatever we can while we're down there.
Yeah, shoot us a DM. It's at Choate Mason on Twitter and at drstew32. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast. I'm Mason Choate. He's Robert Stewart, and we'll talk to you on Friday.
You've been listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Choate Mason and at drstew32.